Welcome to Secured with Dr. KJ. I'm your host, Dr. KJ, and today's guest is a veteran, a technologist, and a true disruptor. Doug Turpin is the co-founder and chief disruption officer at Tight Technologies, where he works at the intersection of physical security, cybersecurity, and technology compliance. With more than 25 years in IT, Doug helps organizations navigate risk, modernize infrastructure, and meet the standards that matter most: SOC 2, NIST, and cloud security best practices. A U.S. Army and National Guard veteran and Bronze Star recipient, Doug brings the kind of discipline, clarity, and forward-thinking perspective that only comes from serving on the front lines, both in uniform and in the field. Doug, welcome to the show.
Thanks, KJ. I appreciate you inviting me over for today.
No, again, really appreciate it. And we'll jump right into question one, my friend. So managed service providers, right? They operate at a truly unique scale. So when you think about securing your own environment while protecting every client you support, what is the biggest security challenge that comes with that responsibility?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot. We get a lot of questions along these lines. And for us, or for me and our company, I think our biggest challenge is blast radius. What I mean by that is, the tools that we use are, if you think about, we use them to multiply our force and let a few people handle a lot of things. So those tools can protect our house. But we also hold the keys to a lot of other houses. And so we have privileged access. If an attacker compromises one of our identities or our RMM tool, remote management tool, they don't just get one network, they can pivot to many networks, which can make it pretty difficult to figure out, where they went, what they did. Because those management tools are really powerful, you get, a lot of backend tools that aren't visible to the end user, and they're trusted by design. They're designed to be tools that are trusted. Attackers love those as hands-on intrusion ransomware kits that they can use. And so we design around that reality and think, least privilege, strong isolation, constant visibility. Yeah, because at scale, one problem, small, can be a multi-client issue.
Right. No, I think one person, one problem, it does become a client issue very quickly. Right. And so like when you're dealing with these clients then, and so like you find these gaps that they have, mm-hmm. Do you really see it as a technology failure? Is it a process failure, or is it a people failure, or combination of all three?
I think that in a lot of cases, it starts with people. Okay. This conversation, I think, will be always around people, even though we're talking about technology. We tend to be the weakest link anywhere from security. You'll get someone that has an idea, they'll run down a path. But, what we find is that people with good intentions, for the most part, they build over time. And you might get someone in a position that is a position of responsibility that let's implement something, but there's no plan, there's no strategy. So it's a strategic issue, it's a tactical issue, it's a technology issue, but ultimately it's a people issue.
But also, I'm thinking, is it a chief and Indian issue as well, right? Like,
it can be.
I think sometimes I've seen in my career, like it could be that chief and Indian, deal.
I think so. You'll get places where you got someone that is what we see on the lower end, on the sub 200 user end of things. You'll get folks that are one person that is really, really knowledgeable, and they'll set up a system, and then they apply folks to it that can administer that, but they really don't have much visibility into what the environment really is or what the goal was when it was set up. And then so over time, you'll have this deterioration, or these gaps come into play because these networks aren't something that you put in place and then just walk away from. It's a living thing.
Yeah,
it needs a plan, just like anything else. It needs a plan.
No, I totally agree. And so when you think about AI, how has that one helped these types of things in with these customers, and how has it hurt these customers?
I think with AI, if you treat it like an amplifier, I'm going to answer your question really short, and then we want to expand it out. So it's an amplifier. You can make good decisions much more quickly. You can make bad decisions much more loud is the best way I could put it. Like you really just, if you think about that, You can use it for an operational advantage and augmentation. You reduce the noise that you're seeing all the time. You
Yeah.
get better surface. You can surface better signals, especially on the security side of things. Um, it helps to correlate behaviors and spot anomalies, and then take the repetitive work off of people so that we can have our smart people focus on judgment calls. And we want to make sure on our end to keep humans in the loop for anything that changes things like access or identity or the risk posture of the customer.
Right.
And we use that to inform decisions, not silently make them, if that makes sense.
Right.
On a threat scale, we're going to assume that attackers are going to use those same tools. They're going to use automation. They're going to use phishing, AI-assisted phishing, faster reconnaissance. So we focus on governance and governance first, use cases second, and then scale at the end of things.
Yeah. I want to follow up on that. So when we think about AI and being used, are we seeing AI in that autonomous way, right? The agentic way in removing jobs, from these, companies and whatnot? And like, what is the problem that introduces? Because you mentioned human element in in this conversation. And so when you introduce AI, it removes the human sometimes. But how are you seeing that play out in the community?
You see it in a couple of different ways. A lot of things that we see, it's almost like AI is this magic sprinkles you put on top, and everything's
Right.
going to work great. But what we see at the very, very grassroots level in small business, is that folks aren't really sure what they're doing. A lot of the companies that we work with, we counsel, hey, let's develop policies on how we're going to use these things. We can't stick our head in the sand about AI. It's going to be there. Do I think that it's going to replace the number of people that it's projected to replace? Maybe not. I think that the people that are successful around AI are going to go back to an amplifier. They're going to be more efficient. They're going to be better at things. For me, what I use AI for, it helps me organize my thoughts. It helps me be more efficient on an individual level. And when you extend that out to an organization, I think it's the same thing. Whether it's an agent, whether it's the tools, question and answer, prompt kind of thing. Coding, what I counsel when I talk to people is, if you don't have a basic knowledge, when you try to use AI to code for you, then it's going to be very obvious to your peers and the people that you're working for that you don't know what you're doing. So I feel like it's going to point out the weaknesses really quickly and highlight the strengths. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And I'll also add, like, one thing that, like, I use. So recently I was just on a panel and I used AI to prepare. So I knew the questions ahead of time. I knew who the panelists were going to be ahead of time as well, companies that they worked at. So I loaded that in. It was all about prompting, right? How I prompted AI to assist me in this, because some of those questions, I don't know if I was, the expert on, but I wanted to be on the panel. So I did my research, I understood, and then when I loaded everything into AI, like, it gave me responses that, based on where they currently work, where those panelists currently work, how it would be very centered to that conversation, that company, right? And then so I was able to interject my thought process in there. And it was really cool. So when the event actually happened and I was on the panel, I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm thinking of it, right? And so, as you say, gather your thoughts and get your mind in order. Exactly. I use it the exact same way. Is like, I might not know all of the answers. I'm going to do my research, of course, because I am the human in the loop and I will stay that way, right? But I'm using it to amplify my knowledge and get there quicker without having to deteriorate the let's just say, amazingness that I'm going to put out there, right?
Exactly.
So,
right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So when you think about your team is the product and your clients trust, right?
Mhm.
How do you build a security first culture from the inside out?
And for us, I think culture starts with the idea that security is more about stewardship than enforcement.
Hmm.
Um, we make sure that we try to make sure, I think we do a pretty good job of making sure that the team understands that they're not just supporting systems, that they're protecting our clients, their trust, their
Right.
data, their livelihoods. I mean, all these folks, their jobs rely on us to take care of them, do what we're doing. And once we get to that place and you see that security is part of doing the right thing, not just following the rules, your behavior changes and it changes naturally. You
Right.
want to do that. And to expand on that a little bit, we want to focus for us less on fear, more on clarity. Clear expectations, clear boundaries for access, clear ownership of things, all the things. Um, if your people know why something matters, they feel empowered to speak up when they feel like something's off. And you end up with a culture where it's instinctive security rather than performative, if that makes sense.
Right.
Um, yeah, I think that works best for us anyways. Uh,
Yeah. No, I
yeah.
love it. I love it. And so when you as you think about your team and the security culture that you have, like how
Mhm,
do you handle and then reinforce mistakes, right? People make mistakes.
mhm.
For me, I know it's how you bounce back, right?
Right.
But I would love to understand like how do you look at that and how do you reinforce, that in your culture?
I think for us, most common question I'll get, because I act as a senior engineer for our support staff and our
Hmm.
second tier engineers. Um, it's just getting in the what were you thinking when you did this, and not in a criticizing way of a, let's get where your brain was and let's run through that process and let's say, okay, well, does that make sense or does it not?
Right.
And so everything is a learning experience and it's
Mhm.
not like a punishment. I mean, this is our industry. There's not a lot of just an answer book that you open up and a problem comes your way and or a project comes your way and there's one step through 20 and you go. It's a brain
Right.
thing the whole time.
Yeah.
And so we just use that as learning experience. We involve everybody. We want to make sure that we're not in silos in terms of this ticket's my ticket, this problem's mine, this project's mine. I think at the end of the day, it makes us a much stronger organization. And we're able to be nimble but focused,
Right.
um, restrictive but not heavy-handed. It's a lot of different things that you have to be. And the message that we give to our clients is the same. We're concerned about you and your business and
Right.
protecting your business. And we have a lot of examples that we can follow up with and say that these are the things that we learned from your issue. These are the things that
Mhm.
we helped you with. So it's a good feeling at the end of the day. It's kind of like when you come in and you're the only tech and you save the day and everybody's cheering as you leave, but just extend that out over a few years so you feel pretty good.
No, I totally love it, and it makes sense. It's a
Hmm.
team sport at the
Hmm.
end of the day,
Definitely. Yeah.
and if we work as a team, we'll grow as a team, and we'll
Mhm.
learn as a team. So, and we'll do great things. So, but Doug, I would love to understand what are your final thoughts for the listeners out there.
We touched briefly on AI, and I I wanted to kind of throw out that the one thing I'm skeptical of. We didn't really say anything about what makes me skeptical. We embrace AI, but
Yeah.
I feel like the thing that's most dangerous about AI is AI without guardrails. And you talked about there's a lot of companies out there, big companies, small companies that are leveraging AI to replace people at a rapid rate. And in some cases, I feel like that's a weak place to be. So the thing to take away, I think that, AI in reality doesn't fix bad data or identity hygiene or broken processes.
Right.
If your fundamentals are weak, your AI is just going to make you accelerate your mistakes. And going back to unsupervised AI, that if you use it to make security decisions, and pull from ungoverned data sources,
Hmm.
you're going to get leakage, hallucinations, and the compliance headaches that everybody talks about all the time. I think that would be what I would want folks to take away.
No, I love it a lot, Doug. And I just want to, again, thank you for jumping on the show and dropping some nuggets for our listeners out there, and look forward in future episodes to have you back and so you can drop some more nuggets for us. So,
all right. Sounds good. Happy to do it anytime. Thanks. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you. You have a good day.
You too, man.
And that's a wrap on today's episode with Doug Turpin. Doug left us with a reminder that hits hard. AI doesn't fix bad data, broken processes, or weak fundamentals. It just accelerates your mistakes. Security is stewardship, not enforcement. And when your people understand that they're protecting livelihoods, not just systems, the culture takes care of itself. Doug, thank you for the time, the transparency, and the real talk. If you're an MSP or a security leader trying to get this right, today's conversation was for you. Until next time, securing tomorrow, one episode at a time.